The best form of education is yet to be designed. Consequently, we can only keep advancing. I am Mr. Adolf, the teacher, and this is your four walls. Now let's take a look at the green board. For the classwork, we will do what's almost a book review of a unique fictional prose titled A Distant Sun. And immediately after that, I will give a concise insight on the main topic without age limit. That takes us to examination, where a special guest will be critically examining the right age for varsity admission. Thereafter, the gradings and the assignments will follow. Before we go any further, let's quickly catch up with the latest news on education. From Vanguard, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board says it has remitted another 7.8 billion naira to the federal government. The board's head, Media and Information, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, made this known to the News Agency of Nigeria on Sunday in Lagos. According to him, the board has planned to remit the amount as surplus to the federal government as was done in 2017. Benjamin said that the amount was surplus generated from the conduct of the board's 2018 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME. The government amiably directed that only 5.6 billion naira should be sent to the federal account, while the balance be used for restructuring of the board's headquarters to meet up with the international standard. On the second news, we're looking at an interesting story that's from Punch newspaper. The National Teachers Institute, Kaduna State, has trained 218 teachers drawn from all 36 states on classroom management, digital literacy skills, and modern teaching techniques. The NTI held the training for the teachers in the 6 geopolitical zones with centers in Abuja, Ondo State, Bauchi State, Edo State, Enugu State, and Kano State. The NTI Director General, Professor Garba Azari, said the training was designed to strengthen the competence of teachers on academic leadership at the classroom level. Let's go on a commercial break. When we come back, I'll be treating the book A Distant Sun, written by Iwedi Njomobi. Welcome back. I told you about the novel that I picked up again. It's titled A Distant Sun. It's a thrilling novel with 392 pages. It unfolds across the 3 continents. This story, written by Iwedi Ojima, traces one man's unusual way of coming home to Africa, re-establishing his roots and finding true love while overcoming extreme danger in Nigeria. The saga unfolds at breakneck speed through the eyes of the author. He was basically narrating this novel all through in a witty narration, but it's about a U.S. Marine who is a Nigerian also, who was unwilling to play the role of a hero as he takes on Boko Haram expansion in the deepest part of Africa's most populous nation, which is Nigeria. Told in a honest and insightful way, as only a true son of the soil would be capable of, the tale is thoroughly researched, and I find it to be wonderful testimony of a good persevering over evil, despite overwhelming odds and man's continued wickedness to others. A Distant Sun was published by CreateSpace Independent Publishing Platform in 2016. This book is very, very sensitive because it's about what is happening in the present day Nigeria and how someone who has lived most of his life in the America and worked with the American Army, especially the U.S. Marine, coming back home, expected to bring his trainings over there to Nigeria and to tackle the insurgents of Boko Haram, and how he is refusing, then also encouraging himself, on the other hand, to help the motherland. It's an exciting book. I will encourage you to read that book. Let's look at the background to the topic that I'll be discussing. As much as it's amazing to see a child's education in a pretty fast track, some folks think differently. But who wouldn't desire to hasten a child's academic pace? Here is the real issue about the interest. That is the real issue about the interest that we have on fast-track education. When the finish line is reached at the end of the basic level, that is the primary and the secondary, and it's time to move on into the tertiary institution, what is the right age to join the university or any other tertiary institution? So to discuss this matter, joining me is Olunroti Ogunleye. You're welcome to the program, ma.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
You are head of service, social mobilization.
Head of session.
Head of social. Is that it?
Head of session, social mobilization.
Okay, head of session, social mobilization
yeah.
For LGEA.
Yeah.
That is Local Government Education Authority.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yes. Tell us what this is all about, the LGEA.
LGEA is one of the organs of the education in SUBEB.
Okay.
SUBEB is the apex body. So LGEA's local government education authorities are under SUBEB. SUBEB is the State Universal Basic Education Board. So LGEAs are under SUBEB. So LGEA is the local government education authority. It is very, very close to the people at the local level, and they are all also in charge of the primary schools at the local level.
And not including the secondary school?
No, no.
All right.
No, no. So we have only primary schools under local government education authority.
Okay.
And then for the secondary schools, the districts are in charge. And we have about 6 districts in Lagos State. And for local government education authority, we have 20 in the state.
All right. So your position as being the head of social, is that?
Yes, social mobilization.
Social mobilization. I understand that you must have known something about university admission and the age limit, especially in Nigeria. The question is, what age should be right for admitting a child into the university?
Well, education is the bedrock of any society. And then I have that fervent belief that before any child is admitted, that child must be of age limit of 16 years. Although that 16 years minimum age doesn't have any legal backing.
Of course, I learned that too.
Yeah, there's no legal backing, but more or less it is a standard for virtually all our universities.
Why is it a standard? What is it about the 16 years that makes it a standard, at least?
Well, there is this form of educational system that we call 6-3-3-4. 6 years in primary school, 3 years in junior secondary school, and another 3 years in senior secondary school, while 4 years is for the tertiary education. If we want to look at that critically, I think before a child begins that basic education, such a child would have reached the age of 5 or 6.
Yes.
So definitely that child has to spend like 6 years in primary school.
Which
before
brings the child to 12 years.
Yeah, 12 or 11 or 12. Let's say the child is 5 years.
Okay.
And that child enters primary school at the age of 5. Definitely he has to complete 6 years basic education.
Which most parents are not patient enough for.
Yes, yes, yes. Although the system now is, we have this ECCD, early childhood education, which start at the age of 3.
Okay.
From there to nursery, nursery 1, nursery school, nursery 2, I mean. Then from there to primary 1. So primary 1, that child must have attained that age, maybe 5 or 6, before getting to primary 1, which is the basic education. So primary 1, if you are 5 years and you enter primary 1 at the age of 5, definitely you are going to spend 6 years
in the primary
the primary level. So adding 5 years to 6 years, which the child must complete before he or she transits to the junior secondary school, that will make the age to be 11.
You're making emphasis on which the child must complete.
Yeah.
Is there also a legal back into this 6 years primary school experience?
Yes, it is a law which has been on for a very long time, and they've been practicing that.
How far are the private schools? Because most private schools, you find that the children leave the primary school level at the primary 4 period. And most parents would support that because, like I said, they all want their children's educational pace to be fast forward.
That is their own idea and that is their own policy.
Isn't that illegal?
Well, sort of. But what we operate on in public school is that standard of 6 years, age of 5 or 6 into primary education. You just have to be 5 before you go to primary 1.
Okay, and then we look at the secondary school level because from 12 to 13, a child is proceeding to the secondary school level, that is the junior level,
secondary school,
where you have the 3 years and another 3 years for the senior secondary school.
Yeah.
That brings us to 16 years, is it?
Well,
it doesn't.
No, it's more than that.
It's more
5
than that.
years plus 6 years, that gives you 11 years. Thereafter, you transit to GS1. GS1, you just have to spend 3 years. And 3 years plus 11 years makes 14 years. Then another 3 years in the senior secondary school
will bring you to 17.
To 17 automatically. So by the time you are aspiring to go to university, you would have attained the age of 18, which is the maturity age. But now
it makes sense for 17 and 18.
Yeah, the maturity is there and the readiness is also there.
Now let's talk about maturity of that age, 17 and 18 years. How would you explain the difference in maturity for a child of 14 and 18 years, for example?
Somebody that is 18 years is moving out from adolescent stage to adult stage. And already psychologically the person is ripe. He or she can cope very well with the rigors or challenges of that new environment. The readiness is there. As we have been talking, the maturity is also there. So whatever happens in the school, psychologically is stable to admit or adapt into that particular environment, which I feel that some of our universities still maintain that age limit.
All right, when we come back, we'll be talking about the university who maintain and those who don't. Then we'll talk about more of the parents' factors, then the schools generally. Don't go away. When we come back, we'll go deeper into this wonderful discussion. I'll be right back. Still with me is Olunroti Ogunleye. Ma, the age limit for admission into Nigerian universities and other tertiary institutions, most children have been found to gain admission at the age of 14. What we would say is such child is intelligent. Obviously, that could be right. But what would a child of 14 years and 15 years face in the tertiary institution complex?
There are tendencies that they face a lot of things. They could be influenced. They could be initiated
Into
so many things, like courtesan. As a matter of fact, the intelligent quotient may be there, but the maturity is not there. And, you know, going to university, you just have to prepare yourself to accommodate any bottlenecks in the school. But if a child of 14 that should still be at the secondary school is now admitted into the university, there can be cures, emotional cures, psychological problems,
sometimes depression.
depressions in that aspect. I don't think schools, universities, government universities will allow such a child in their school, since they have the standard of, if you are not yet 18, if you are still 16 years of age, you can still be admitted. Like UNILAG maintains that standard of 16 years.
And
Until you are 16 in October 31st, that is when you will be admitted into their own university. A child of about 14 years will not be given any admission because they know that he or she cannot cope with the rigors of going to that kind of environment.
when I was making research on this, I discussed with a lot of people concerning the issue of tender ages in universities. Then someone told me that if your concern is about a child who is 15 or 14 being exposed to dangers in the universities, do you also know that an adult, a young adult who is 21 can also be exposed to such dangers too, and then fall victim, just like a child of 14 years old? So I don't know. When you talk about exposure to dangers in the university, it's general. Everyone gets exposed. So can there still be a way to shift the ground to accommodate those children who are ready? Because I believe that it's about creating the platform, a safe platform for them. Since they are ready, there is no point wasting their time until they are 17 and 18. What do you think?
Personally, I feel that this age we are talking about, they don't always have that shock absorber. If anything should happen now, the way somebody of 18 years
Would handle the situation.
will handle it will be quite different from a child of 14. And it also depends on the background where they come from. If a child of 14 years old comes from a rugged background, maybe he or she can
Be able to adapt.
adapt a little. But I think that it will be better for somebody that is 16 to be admitted into the university aside this 14-year-old or 14-year-old. I think 14-year-old is not matured enough. That kind of age should still be in SS1 or SS2. The intelligent quotient may be there. There's something we call mental age and chronological age.
All right.
That mental age, if you have that intelligent quotient of a child of 14, your mental age can still cope with the activities of that class you belong to. But in an area where your mental age is not commensurating with your chronological age, there will be disasters, there will be problems. For example, a child of about 2 years now, we have the belief that, no, a child of 6 years, we have the belief that that child should be in primary 1 at the basic level. And maybe that child is not staying in that class and is being taken to primary 4. The difference now is the mental age is not commensurating with the
level,
that chronological age. There's difference between the two. What I'm saying in essence is that child of 14 years, the mental age is there, but the chronological age is not
available
there. It's not there.
The situation.
So that age, the intelligent quotient wise, he can perform, but the maturity that he or she has to get in coping with the rigors of the school environment and all the activities put together is not there. So the parents should be mindful of that things I've just spoken about now, mental age and the chronological age. A child of 14 should not be in tertiary institution because that chronological age is not there, and the age we are talking about should be around 18 years so that he will be able to cope with whatever goes on in that school environment.
All right, ma. So let's look at the educational system generally in Nigeria, because we have the government schools and the private schools, and sometimes we find out that the policy for government schools, how they run their schools, is quite different from the private sector. Yeah, don't you think it's all because most children from the private schools tend to leave school on time much earlier than the people from government school? And this is why we have the 14 years and 15 years gaining admission, because they are from one private schools of secondary and primary. So what is the government doing specifically about that to harness educational system in Nigeria?
Well, I think they will need to work on that. The policy says 6-3-3-4 system of education, which I wish that the private school should also buy into. They should also follow that standard seriously. If they are not really going by that standard, I think there is need for government to, as a matter of fact, promulgate laws that can correct that situation in our private institutions. You know, these institutions, they are private ones, and what they are after is their own
profit.
They are after profit, what they will gain. They don't want to know, although some of them, not all of them, some of them still
Maintain a reasonable standard.
Yeah.
And do you think the government at this point should come up with strict policy on what age a child should be admitted in any university at all? Do you think government should do that?
I think so. So that everybody will be on the same page and they will maintain that normal standard. Although some of our private schools are doing that, as I have already told you, they are doing that. And they will not want to leave the... Why do they have primary 6 in their school? Some of them have primary 1. Despite that, they still have the pre-nursery and
it's beginning to look like primary 6 is fading away.
No, I don't think so. They still maintain that primary 6 class. From there, they can go for their common entrance into GS1.
All right, so Ma, let's come down to the segment where we do the grading. After this whole discussion, we grade the factors involved. So my grading comes with A, C, and F. A is for excellent, C is for fair, and F is for terrible. That is F9. So for government's input on age limit for varsity, what would you give the government? Is it excellent A, C for A, and terrible for F?
I will give excellent.
Is it because you're part of the government?
No, no, because there has been a standard which I think government is also following strictly.
Strictly only for government institutions, not generally.
Okay, for government institutions, you are right. For government
I would have advised you to give them fair. All right, ma. So for the schools generally, the private schools,
yes,
how have they been doing this? Is it fair? Is it excellent? Is it terrible?
I think it's fair.
Fair for the private schools?
Yeah, fair.
All right. Now, parents like you now, how have parents influenced the issue of age in varsity?
Well, I think let us look at the private sector now.
Private parents, because
Yeah,
I'm looking at parents. I don't want you to exempt yourself. You as parents, then representing parents generally, how would you grade the parents?
Fair.
Still fair.
Very fair.
That involves you too.
Yes.
You heard it. She is grading herself among other parents as fair because the age limit in Nigeria is not stable and it has no legal background. Everybody wants a child whose education pace is very fast. But what is the aftermath of all this generally? So we've come to the end of the show. It's wonderful. But then I will give you my assignment. My assignment is, what is the right age for your university admission? Send me the answer to 4 Walls on Facebook, and I will see the answer and give my response to your comments. Don't push the child so much in education, because every child has got a normal pace to follow according to Nigeria's education system. Yeah. It's wonderful having you on the show, Olunroti Ogunleye. Thank you very much for being here.
I am very happy to be here.
See you next time. God bless you and bye.